going with sure rolls, massive rolls that I'm completely confident in, and a lot of the good schematical matchups. We'll start with the one we were in on yesterday. It was so important we had to bust out the megaphone. So if I bust out the megaphone mid-show during the week, it's because I want to officially plant a flag on something like Quinshon Judkins over 89.5 rushing yards. Our guy, Tom Brawley, wanted it at 82 or 81, and it was kind of scared off. Well, guess what? Last I checked, this puppy's up to 95.5. So we're all sharing a brain here, thinking the weather is going to be a factor. As I mentioned with Jake Tribby, Judkins 7th in the NFL with 284 yards rushing the last 5 weeks, 4.6 yards per carry. Yet somehow he's only played 13 snaps with a lead. 2 weeks ago, I lost this prop last week, by the way, but part of the analysis was even when they're losing, they're still handing the ball off. Pittsburgh completely took them out. That won't happen here, and they are 2.5 home favorites in a nasty weather game against a Miami defense that's been a top 5 run funnel because they're one of the worst run defenses and tackling teams you've ever seen. So we're good. We're running for 100 here, barring an injury, because they have, by the way, given up 330 on the ground to 2 guys that no one drafted this past year. Maybe they drafted Rico Dowdle, but Kamani Vidal and Rico Dowdle, 330 in this matchup the last 2 weeks. Next up, again, I'm going with a short thing here like Bijan Robinson. We won a prop on Monday, I believe, on that one run. Well, at least we won 80% of it on that one run. But over 77.5, that run Monday night was longer than that, right? It was an 80-yarder. The Niners give up the 8th highest yards per carry average against zone concept runs, 4.5 yards per carry, but the 10th lowest on man and gap concept runs. 74.5% of Bijan's runs come on those zone concept runs. He's averaging 6.6 yards per carry on those runs, tops in the NFL. Meanwhile, Tyler Algier has a 44% success rate on those runs, which ranks only 29th out of 50 running backs with at least 25 carries. Niners, they just lost Fred Warner. You can do anything on them, basically. You can throw on them. You can run on them. And Bijan, of course, he's leading Algier in snap share and carry share. Not for nothing, but the Niners overall give up the 10th most adjusted yards before contact and the 12th most rushing yards. Also the 7th fewest receiving yards, by the way, which all kind of lines up for Bijan to get it done on the ground. Might not go nuts in the passing attack. J.K. Dobbins will not go nuts in the passing attack because he has now fallen below 2 receptions in 5 straight games, has J.K. He has, in his last 4, only 3 catches for 9 yards. I bring this up because it's all about early downs and running the rock for J.K. Dobbins. A lot of people thought early in the year, based on it being a veteran and good in pass pro, that he would get a lot of the third down reps and passing down reps. Not really. That's kind of been R.J. Harvey. Denver is a 7-point home favorite. Our offensive line, defensive line matchup tool over at Fantasy Points has Dobbins and the Broncos with the second best rushing grade on the board this week. The Broncos have generated the 3rd most adjusted yards before contact per attempt. They face a giant defense, giving up the 7th most. It's also, this is the critical part, a great schematic matchup for JK. A lot of initials out here, DK, JK. But 57% of his rushing attempts have come on man and gap concepts. That's the 6th most. The Giants are allowing the most, 6.1 yards per carry, and the 6th highest success rate on those opposing man or gap runs. He also has a 7.7 explosive run rate, does Dobbins. That's the 10th best in the league. And over the last 3 weeks, the Giants have given up the 4th highest explosive run rate in the NFL. So we're going over 59 yards, or we're getting to 59. Kind of what I'm trying to do here is make it so it's not my fault if these don't hit, because look at these data points. They're beautiful. Next up, Chris Olave, over 57.5. This isn't as much of a schematical deal, but it's a little bit more about situation and role. Bears are 5-point favorites. It's got one of the higher totals on the board at 47. Certainly bodes well for Olave, who's getting peppered with targets, coming off season highs, by the way, in receiving yards, 6+ receptions and 10+ targets in 5 of his first 6 games. The Bears have been a slot funnel, having allowed the second most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game into the slot and the 5th fewest to the outside. Now, Olave does lead in slot snaps, but Rashid Shaheed and Juwan Johnson are just behind him. But given the game flow, Spencer Rattler's playing pretty well. I'm not very worried about any of the corners for the Bears. I think we can hit 58 yards. Just make one big play. Not making a lot of them, but he's due. To actually maybe 1 or 2, but he's due to connect on like a 20+ yarder, and then we'll get home. Given the role, again, massive target share and a lot of volume, all that. They can't really run the ball all that well. Next up, another situational and schematic type pick, Trey Tucker. Let's go over 40.5 receiving yards. KC allowing the 8th fewest passing yards per game, 6th fewest receiving yards per game to outside receivers. But Jamo Williams came out of his funk last week. Jacoby Myers hasn't hit 39 yards in 3 straight, and I don't even know if he's going to play. I don't think Genty will run either, and the Chiefs run the 3rd highest rate of 2 high safeties, and Trey Tucker averages a very excellent 2.23 yards per route run against 2 high, and he should get the best individual matchup against Williams at corner. Also, Saquon Barkley, I know it's a little tough to back him, but 73.5 is a pretty good number. 69.5% of his rushing attempts have come on zone concepts, 7th most. The Vikings have been significantly more generous on those concepts, giving up 4.77 yards per carry. They're not good against the run. Barkley's going to get it done here. Troy Franklin, over 30.5. The Giants have been a pass funnel, no doubt about it. They play man coverage, which is good for Bo Nix, and his target share does Franklin's, nearly doubles against man coverage, and the best on-paper matchup against the secondary, giving up the 8th most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game in the slot. Carson Wentz, revenge game, over 9.5 rushing yards. He's got 2+ carries and 10+ yards in his last 2 games. Eagles giving up the 9th most schedule-adjusted fantasy points per game to quarterbacks in the running game. Dart ran 13 times last week for 58 in this matchup. Bo Nix got him for 24 the week before. Kyren Williams, let's go over 17.5 receiving yards. He dominated Blake Corum in the snap share and route share last week. He's got 2 or more targets in every game. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5. 10 grabs for 103 receiving in just the last 2 weeks on 12 targets. No Puka as well, and they give up the 7th most receiving yards per game to running backs. That leads us to the best bet for the week. And before we get to that, we will pop out 2 touchdown props real quick. I'm in on 2 obscure tutties, tight end tutties, Mason Taylor at +250, Harold Fannin at +340. But my best bet of the week, and I apologize, I ran out of time, but Jordan Addison, over 41.5 receiving yards. Quinyon Mitchell is playing. He's practicing. So he'll likely be on Justin Jefferson. So Addison gets that adorable matchup often, and it's a tremendous schematic matchup for Jordan Addison. So he's going to make at least 1 play of over 20 yards. Then we only need another catch or 2 to get to 42 yards. Feel really good about that.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.